Hello and welcome to the Irish Rally Podcast. My name is Kevin Regan and I come from County Carlow. For many years now I have felt extremely sorry for rally crews across the country who I feel haven't been provided with adequate coverage of their sport. I come from a radio background, having worked on local, regional and national radio, and aside from one or two places, I feel that basic weekly coverage isn't at the level it once was in the 80s and 90s in that particular aspect of media coverage, especially when you consider we've had drivers and co-drivers competing well at World Rally level over the past few years. The idea behind this podcast is to provide weekly coverage of events when things do get back up and running, and to give the results of all the various classes from the journeymen all the way up to the top dogs. We'll also get some insight from various competitors from all around the country who will chat to us about different ongoing topics in Irish rallying. This podcast has been in the pipeline for the past 7 months, and I want to especially thank Colin O'Toole, Mick Lonergan, Rory Kennedy and several other people who I've been in contact with in trying to make this happen. Our first episode features the 2019 Irish Tarmac Modified Championship winning co-driver Michael Mick Coady, and we talk about what 2020 may or may not have in store due to COVID-19, with many hopes hinging on the Wexford Rally going ahead. We also chat about the 2019 Championship success alongside Damien Toner in the Mark II, and we also pay tribute to Manus Kelly, who Mick would have been very close to, and he shares some very fond memories. The episode is brought to you in association with J&J Services Limited in Tullow, County Carlow, for all your motor and agri-factors, signs, designs, engineering and hydraulics needs. You can check them out on jnjservices.ie and on social media. I do hope you enjoy. It's a pleasure to have a chat with the 2019 Irish Modified Co-Drivers Champion, Mick Coady. Mick, we're down here in the man cave. It's very uncertain times still, and in terms of Irish motorsport at the moment, Motorsport Ireland have published a sort of a roadmap which I think has gone out to clubs, and tomorrow I think is the closing day for clubs to decide if they want to kind of maybe go with something for the rest of the year. Obviously we're seeing cancellations. Cork is gone. Yeah. A lot of the hopes I think at the moment are hinging on Wexford. Absolutely,
Kevin, thanks for having me. Look, it's very, very strange times. It's unreal to say that a handful of rallies ran early in the year and nothing since. I'd applaud the Wexford Motor Club. Someone has to take the chance. Someone has to as the lad says, approach it. But strange. Terrible to see Cork. Cork was good to me the last 2 years. Terrible to see it cancelled. Probably the right decision on their behalf. Hopefully Wexford will go ahead, Kevin. The boys are doing good work down there. I know some of the lads, and it's been responded to very well, so hopefully it will run. Yeah, we're looking at kind of 2 months time roughly for Wexford, generally in around start September, isn't it? So it'll be Saturday, Sunday. There talks about 2 stages 3 times Saturday, 2 stages 3 times Sunday. So things is moving forward. Fair play to the boys down there. Hopefully they'll get across the line. Yeah, so I mean, we're looking at other sports at the moment, and obviously GA teams are back training, and so it seems like with rallying, obviously we have challenges, but at the end of the day it's an outdoor sport. People are going to be able to socially distance. Absolutely. The competitors obviously will be signing off, and all the rigmarole will be done. You'll be in the car with someone that you know. It's easy to trace. Yeah. To me, it doesn't seem like any more of a risk possibly than any other sport. It's probably a little bit safer, if anything. Absolutely, Kevin. You'd really have to wonder, because as you say yourself, everything is starting to move again. All sports, all the boys are back training. Everyone is sort of on the go again. Rallying just seems to be at a standstill. It doesn't seem to be moving any which way. And hopefully, Kevin, the will, and I think the government in 2 weeks' time will relax things a bit more. And there's probably the fact that a driver and a co-driver will spend 2 days in the car recceing and maybe 2 days rallying. That's probably what they're saying. Maybe we're closer than 2 meters or meter apart or whatever. But I do think like it will run, and I hope it will run, and hopefully we'll get back going. And we all, any of us that compete regularly, miss it terrible. It's a big part of our lives. It's something we have a passion for, and we're all lost sheep without it. Yeah, the last 4 months must have been incredibly difficult for you, because I know you had a photo up one stage tugged out in the rally gear, sitting on the sofa. I think it was back in May, and you must miss it fierce, like so many in the country. I sort of, in this lockdown, I suppose I'm doing a little bit of running, something I've never done before, and have a little bit of weight loss or whatever. And Claire, my eldest girl, she said, "Dad, go down," she says, "and put on your suit and see whatever." So it was Claire took the photo. Put on your helmet, Dad, whatever. But it was just lovely just to put on the overalls again. You'd miss writing the notes, miss competing, miss doing your best to try and get a victory, win or do your best, whatever, you know what I mean, Kevin? You'd miss it, of course you miss it. We strive for it, we all enjoyed. The men I sit with, I'm lucky enough to sit with some of the quickest men in the country. They surely miss it too, you know. We're there to do our best all the time, and we're parked at home, handbrake on, nothing going on. And so strange.
The general appreciation for sports, everyone loves their own sport, right? And sometimes you might get frustrated with it. On a personal level, I have to say, you know, you see with J teams, the numbers are constantly up now at the moment. Lads are actually getting a graph for it again. They're itching to get back. And you're like, do you know what? It's not till it's taken away, you really, really miss it. And I'm sure that's the same with rallying.
Oh, listen, chatting to Frank Coady, and poor old Frank, like, you know, Frank does so many rallies every year, and he's above, and he has both cars, as he says himself, stripped to the knickers and built back up twice. That's the way it is. And David Condella, Carlo Manny, he's the very, very same. Damien Toner, we're all just itching to get back rallying. We miss it, it's something we do, and it's like everything, Kevin, every year passes, like, people train for sport. It's very, very hard. Okay, a test is a test, you can take the car for a run, whatever, but unless you're against the clock, but navigator and driver, you know, you miss it so much simply because it's not competition. We've no competition to do, and you miss it so much.
Where did the interest come initially from, or for rallying, I should say, Mick? Because obviously it's a very expensive sport. I remember you saying before that there's no big history within your family. So where did you get the grow to go rallying, and when did it all start for you?
I suppose in primary school, a good friend of mine, a guy by the name of John Stone, his dad back then was rallying an historic Vauxhall Viva, and it was the first car I sat in. And I can still remember the Viva by their road, just out for a spin, the car leaving the road. Remember the car leaving the road and coming back down. I just thought this was magic, you know. And I suppose cycling, myself and a cousin of mine, Kevin Oates, would have cycled to Coon. The car stage would have been in Coon. The Circle of Ireland at that time would have come around. And just seeing these cars doing what they're doing was just amazing to me, you know. Then I started, I suppose, kept to 17. I used to go to the rallies. Then I suppose, just lucky enough, first cousin of mine, married to a fella who was building an escort at the time. I called in one day. He was building his car. He was going through the car stage, I think 0506. He was looking for a navigator. Yeah, sure, look, I'll have a go at this. And just fell instantly in love with the book of notes. Fell in love with everything about rallying, and just couldn't believe that a car could behave and handle the way it did. You know, that's where it came from, Kevin. And it's just a passion, and it's something I just love rallying, and that's who I am. It's what I am now, you know, I suppose.
Do you remember that first event specifically? Like,
I do.
How nervous were you beforehand?
I'll never forget. Park Pharma was in the Martin Carlo, and at that time, Kevin, the driver's briefing was the evening before. Now the driver's briefing is in the morning rally. But it's funny, I didn't know what a roadbook was. I had no idea what a roadbook was. So I signed on for the recce, got this roadbook. What's this fucking thing? So, yeah, baptism of fire, I suppose. I was very nervous. I was very, very nervous, Kevin. I can remember the first stage was in Clock, it was in Chatsworth. I'll never forget it. So we lined up and there was 10 cars in front of us. And I can remember being just about as nervous as I ever was in my life. You know, got the helmet on, got in, settled down, and there was actually a hairpin maybe 3k into the stage. I remember at the hairpin, it was the first time, we'll say, I got to look up. I said, yeah, I can do this, like. And I never looked back. That's the 1600 car, little 1600 car with maybe 160 or 70 horsepower. Yeah,
the confidence just came in from, like, at that particular moment. You're like, wow, I can
do this. I can do this, and I enjoyed it. And I suppose I won't say it came easy, but I could keep my head down, and I could feel the corner all the time, and it just progressed along, and it was only a 1600 car. It was very, very big. I think we were seated 135 on the road or something like that. That's where it started. But yeah, fell in love that day, deeply in love, and still in love. That's the best way to put it.
So the first couple of guys you navigated for then, who were they? So
I started with Searle Kerr. Searle is with rallying still, married to a cousin of mine. I went from Searle then to Billy Coogan in a Delage built M3. Really good car. That was a massive step up for me. Done the Tarmac Championship with Billy in 2010. Done a little bit then with Andrew McCabe. Done a rally or two with Andrew. Then myself and Noel, who actually grew into best friend in the whole world. It was a big part of my rallying success that I've had. Done a bit with Noel. We had a little a class 10, a 1600 8 valve 205. So I suppose where it all started for me to going hard was with Mark Straker, I suppose, in the Little Blue Darien, 2014. That's where I suppose everything changed for me.
The big gigs started coming then. You still kind of do bits and pieces with Mark.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm rattling off a few names here now. The likes of Frank Kelly, David Condell, Damien Toner. Yeah. They're big men to be sitting in beside. So you've come a long way in a short space of time. Over 7 or 8 years, you started getting the big gigs. Like
phone rang. A guy called Ger Brett had seen something on some forum that there was an English guy coming in at Darien, and Ger contacted him and he said, "Look, he says Ger's a big guy, and Ger's bones 6 foot high, and he said, no, I'm looking for someone 5 foot, whatever to be." And he said, "Just I know a man." So, fairness to Ger Brett, Ger gave me a nod, and actually gave Noel the nod, I think. But Noel got chatting to Mark first, or whatever it was, and I didn't want to do the rally. I said, "Jesus Christ," I said, "No, I'll die in this thing," you know. And he said, "You want me to be grand?" 100%. So I had even no email address. So Noel set up an email address, and he done the deal as such with Mark. And into the Seven Oaks, I'll never forget, sign on for recce. Met Mark Straker, done the recce. It was grand, 100%. That evening for scrutiny, shuttle pulls up. This beautiful, beautiful Darien. I'll never forget that day. This Millington power Darien, 360 horsepower Darien, rolled out the back of this thing, and I was like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, that's Mark, you know, first stage, I'll never forget, in by the swimming pool in Carlow. I think we were running 12th from the road, which was 100 place higher than what I would have been ever used to. Around massively quick men, very nervous. Probably as nervous as I ever was, to be fair. I'll never forget that stage. I can still rattle off the notes up to the corner. There's an 8, so Mark uses 1 to 9, so 1 is a flat out corner, and 9 being a 9 left, being like a 90 left, like a square left. 2k into the stage, there's a big brown door, the door's still there, you know, big gateway into a house. Fuck me, I said, Jesus, it's 100 metres away, 150 metres away. I get a chance, and we're just at this gate, 8 left. I was like, oh mammy, this thing can move. I never had went as hard in anything in my life. Come out in the stage, I think we were 7th or 8th overall in the rally.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got a puncture in the next one, which was just destroyed today. But it was just mind-boggling, Kevin, that this thing could do 140 mile an hour and could just go so quick through the corners. Just
bit
amazing.
Of a difference from a 1600 anyway.
Oh, I remember saying to myself, Kevin, looking at this big brown door, this big brown gate. Oh, mammy, I said to myself, what am I after getting in? Like, it was just like I hadn't time to process this, you know. But that's, yeah. So we went to where did we go after? Wexford. We led Wexford Saturday night. Massive names. All the English guys was there. Damien Cole, of course, James Stafford, Steve Simpson. There was a Metro 6R4 there. Several WRC cars. And we led this thing.
Yeah.
Noel said to me, Noel was at the rally with me, he says, Jesus, he says, Mick, he says, you're leading this thing, he says. You're leading this thing over. And I said, you're going to win this rally, he says to me. Noel rang my mum, my dad, they were all there. But anyway, he had the car Sunday morning, first stage Sunday morning, car to misfire. And Mark sort of was managing these things, are the modern cars and buttons everywhere. So he just took his eye off the ball and we just clipped the bail. That was, we were leading the rally. We were 14, we were leading the rally, so that was amazing. A big day.
And I suppose the step up then, was it the power of the car that made you nervous, or was it just the sheer fact that you were seated so much higher and maybe a bit more responsibility, or was
just,
it kind
I suppose, Kevin, I had looked, Mark Straker was coming from England, had won rallies, had a big name in rallying, like, and we spoke on the phone twice and he couldn't understand me. And I had an in-car with Noel, I sent him and whatever, and he said, listen, I won't be going that hard, whatever, we'll come over, we'll settle in. But this thing, Kevin, was, I think it's something like 750 kilos, 350 or 340 or 50 horsepower, massive power. This thing would get off the line, launch control, traction control, you know, an 18-inch wheel in the back, 17-inch wheel in the front, a brake disc 15 inches big as you know, just the way the car worked. The way the car could break up. It's amazing the way the car could put up for chicane. Past the 100 board flat and sixth and just put up for the chicane. and then out of the chicane, in a very short space of time, you see the indicator, first, second, third, all the way back up to 6th gear, and then the green 6 turns red and it starts flashing at you. You're doing 144 mile an hour, and I'm like, holy God, this is compared to what I was used to, you know what I mean, Kevin?
Yeah.
And I suppose, I won't say I was comfortable, but then I suppose through Mark, I got to meet, even though David Condell doesn't live a million miles away from me, David was always the front runner. David bought a gravel car, I started with David and met Frank Kelly and Damien Toner, and that's just how it...
So the Mark gig kind of was, the Mark Striker gig got you a few more big ones after that. That was kind of the launch pad for your career into the big time.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm sitting here, Kevin, after winning 4 or 5 events, and it's hard to believe. I look at the trophies at home, and it's still hard to believe I won them rallies. Like,
yeah.
And Mark started all that. I'll be forever in Mark's debt. You know, he such a lovely bloke to give me that chance, and he'll be always my number one forever. You know, if Mark is coming, you know, we done a rally in England, and we spoke about going to Belgium this year. It didn't obviously happen with things. Wherever Mark will be, I'll be, and that's
great stuff. Yeah. So, like, before we get into the big juicy results and all that, I recall a very entertaining in-car piece with yourself and Frank Kelly in Donegal in 2016.
Yeah.
Was that your first time actually doing Donegal?
That was my first time in Donegal.
Yeah. So again, that's a pretty big gig and a pretty big driver to be doing it with.
It was. It's funny. We come out with Leash that year with, I think, George Condell. The Sunday, and we were off. We just clipped the chicane. We were off, and it was like leaving Monday to be in Letterkenny Tuesday, Terecki Wednesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and rally Friday. Yeah, big. It was a big step up, and I suppose writing notes with Frank. It is a big undertaking, Kevin. It really is. You know, I mean, you get 3 times to look at these corners, and it's fun and all the rest of it. But you know yourself, it's quite serious. You know, these stages, Knockalla, Fanet, Garton, all these serious stages, like, and you're coming. Donegal picks very, very fast stages, and you just have to get it right.
Yeah, simple as that. Right. Now, Mick, bearing in mind, just to point out to the listeners here that wouldn't be already familiar, you're talking about pulling out Monday or Tuesday. Mick, Coady has to take a week off work for this now as well, as does a lot of people around the country. Yeah. Right? So this is the big thing that people don't realise. Yeah.
It is. People, I suppose, Kevin, people tend to think, I don't know, maybe they're messing or they're playing, or I don't know, or they're by racers, or I don't know. It's very, very serious. I mean, it's when you're writing notes, it's you have 3 times to look at that road, and you're coming quite hard at that road the next time. Like, I mean, everything you have, you're giving at it, and it's a very small thing, and you see it down through the years. If you miss a bump in the road or miss something, it can put the back of the car right up. It can lead to a bit, and some of the big accidents have happened even on the world stage. Someone misses something on a recce. You can miss something on a recce. That's how serious it is, like, and it is quite full on. It's busy days, 8-hour days, 10-hour days. It's quite busy, like. And
the cost, like, I mean, as we kind of just brushed on there, and I'll come to you on that and maybe a little bit later on in the conversation. But with the recce itself, I'm just interested. So just say, for example, it's yourself and Frank, yourself and Damien, yourself and Mark, David, etc. It's a team effort in writing these. Like, obviously, I know Killian and Killian Duffy provides notes, and Patterson provide notes as well. They're the 2 big boys in the game. But yourself and the driver, then, how much work are you actually adding or taking away in terms of those notes typically, or what way do you work it? How does this recce work? Are you calling the shots as a driver, or is it a team effort, or what's going on?
Yeah, it's like everything. Every driver I've ever sat with would always ask your opinion. The first run through. Killian does a great set of notes. Patterson does it. Both super suppliers. But I suppose, Kevin, when like as Killian has said himself, he's writing the book of notes for the last car on the road and the first car on the road. Now Killian, Kelly got to be good to him. He uses Killian's notes, so Killian's notes are absolutely super notes, capable of winning any rally in the country. It's just, I suppose, me personally, I think every driver approaches a corner in a different way. Every single man I sat with. Some men might call that corner in front of you a 3 left, some men would call it a 4 left, some men pick a line, would have the car for a left hand corner on the right side, some men would have the car on the left side of the road. I think myself, to go really hard, you have to write your own note, and that's no disrespect to any note supplier. It's just you put way more concentration in when you're writing the note yourself. So the driver calls the note to me, he's pinning his colours, his mask to that in the corner, like, he has to have it right. Sometimes when you buy a book of notes off a supplier, I find on the recce, the driver just turns off. You just call in notes and he can just get bamboozled and just turns off, Kevin. When you write your own notes, you're concentrating a lot more on the road, you know.
Right. So is it fair to say then that you might have your book of notes, be it Patterson or Duffy, wherever you go away, on one side of your lap, and you'll have your A4 refill pad on the other side? And are you kind of making your own then on that?
No. So
or is it just a scribble through the existing book?
No.
How do you typically write them?
Like, we start with a blank book, complete blank book.
Blank canvas.
Blank canvas. And I have a road book, and on the road book is the stage. Very, very detailed. So it'll say, for argument's sake, the first tulip is maybe 1.2k in. It's a left-hand corner. So I'm watching the trip meter. I'll say to Frank, Damien, David, whoever it is. So you're looking, David. You're looking for 1.2k. You're looking for left-hand corner. So that's okay, Mick. He'll call the road to me along whatever he sees. So 100 metres straight, 3 left, 3 whatever the road it'll be. Then we'll take the left-hand corner. That's the way it works. Now it's probably a lot easier, to be fair, to buy a book of ready-made notes, because you will say when you're writing notes, you're following the road book, you're watching the trip meter. There's an awful lot into it, and some of the guys that write their own notes tend to be moving on. They're doing 30, 40, 50 kilometres an hour, and you tend to be writing a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's easy, miss a corner, or write something, Kevin. The abbreviation on the note is very, very important as well. So just for argument's sake, call a corner, any corner in the world, a 3 left. Let the corner be a 3 left. And maybe the 3 left tightens, maybe it opens, maybe there's a bump on it, maybe there's something. The abbreviation is very, very important on the note as well, Kevin. You know what I mean? And when you're writing your own notes, it's very, very simple maybe to miss something the driver has said, you know, and the next time through it, you call the note back to him. He might miss it himself. He might go through it and say, I might miss the bumper, you might be catching a car on the recce. And then the next time you're coming with the helmets on, that bump is there.
Yeah.
When Killian makes his notes, when Patterson makes the notes, the roads tend to be an awful lot quieter. You know, there's no one on the road for them. But when we're making the notes, there's 150 crews wrecking that Saturday or that Monday or that Tuesday or that Wednesday. And it's quite easy to miss something, and it's goddamn frightening when you do miss something. It doesn't happen, thank touch wood, it doesn't happen very often, but it can happen, you know.
Is wrecking the most difficult part of being a co-driver then? Is the weekend itself a little bit, I won't say easier, but is the hard work done beforehand?
Brian Murphy, who's tarmac champion 3 or 4 times, I remember the year I done the championship with Billy Coogan. Brian would be very prepare to fail. That's it.
Yeah.
And Brian said that to me, Mick, he says, do your homework at the start. Do all your homework. So, like, I would be doing a lot of homework every night before a rally. You know, every night, a week coming up. You know, when the driver asks me a question, I have it for him. Where are we to be? Where's this? Where's that? So, it's happened to me several occasions, Kevin. Someone would ring late notice, you get a seat late notice, and it's a horrible place to be. So the phone rings Friday, it's a recce Saturday, you have absolutely feck all done. It's a horrible place to be. As a co-driver, you need to prepare ahead of schedule all the time, and then you're in the game and you're in front of yourself.
But on the day itself, you're responsible for an awful lot. It seems like the driver has a slightly easier job, and I mean that with respect, because you're responsible for time, you're responsible for guiding them. Like, there's a good bit of responsibility for the guy sitting beside the driver.
The best way I can put being a co-driver is you're holding the driver's hand, for want of a better word. He's the steering wheel attendant. That's what he does. They're very good at what to do. God knows I'd make some mess with a steering wheel in my hand. They're good at what to do, but yeah, an awful lot. And the better co-drivers in the country are very organised. These men that win rallies consistently are very, very, and that's what sets a co-driver apart. Co-drivers are co-drivers, whatever, but a man that does his homework at home and prepares well is a better co-driver. He's a better rounded fella or woman. He's a better man than a man just a blasé. And loads of co-drivers are very blasé about it. They buy a book of notes, and so a lot of men would laugh at me. A lot of guys would say, "Jeez, Mickey, there's no need putting the effort in or whatever. That's crazy." But I know I'm comfortable in my own skin when I go to an event.
Yeah.
I've the hard work done, Kevin. You know?
And you've reaped the rewards of it as well, which will also come to. But have you actually considered driving at any stage, or have you ever drove?
No, I've never ever drove a rally car, bar, I don't know, in line for scrutiny, 150 metres up. No, I'd reckon, Kevin, I'd make a big mess with the steering wheel in my hand.
Why? Like, what's the thing that would put you off? I know there's a huge cost, but
I would compete, I suppose, Kevin, but I'll never compete at the level I can co-drive at, if that makes sense. I would be one of the also-rans, but I'd never be seated. I'd never compete at the sharp end of things.
Yeah.
Like, people think that, driving these rally cars, these men, I'm 4 notes in front of these men, I'm sweating under pressure, keeping notes in. They're great men to take these notes in and drive these cars. All the men you mentioned previously, they're great. Like, these cars are doing phenomenal speeds on back roads, like. Mm-hmm. And every now and then you look up and you see the hedges passing. You see how hard we're going. I would compete, and I definitely will. But I would never compete as a driver at the level I can compete as a co-driver, if that makes sense.
Which is a pretty good level. So as you mentioned at the top of the programme, 2019 Irish Modified Champion, that's a serious accolade. And that season in particular, so obviously you're in with Damien Toner.
Yeah.
And you did compete with Frank Kelly, I believe, down in West Cork.
Yeah.
But the year itself, I mean, you have a number of first places and second places.
Yeah.
Talk us through 2019.
Yes, funny. It was one of these things that I was just so lucky to get to see it. So Damien Toner's regular co-driver, Denver Rafferty, had done a deal with Stephen McCann in the R5 car. And Denver's a good friend of mine, lovely bloke. But, I was messaging him over and back, and Damien looking for a man to go to Galway, going to the championship, whatever. And
approached you straight, yeah.
Approached me straight out, and I said it's an all. And myself and all trashed it out. Damien is one of these guys who goes very, very, very hard. Very aggressive driver. As aggressive as Frank or David, attacks every stage he's in. So, got chatting to Damien on the phone, hammered out a deal for Galway. Went to Galway. I think we were second overall. In Galway. Felt well, and we moved on from there, and we had a great year together. He's a lovely bloke. Total Motorsport, all the guys up there. Barry then does a lot to that car. Really, really good car, Millington powered car as well. Damien, one of these natural gifted drivers, Kevin. One of these guys that has a natural ability to steer a car, knows where all 4 corners of the car is at all times. Just a natural driver, real natural talent,
First in Ulster, and you won Cork as well.
Won in Cork as well, yeah.
So that was 2 years in a row as well. You won in Cork, because you won in 2018 with Frank.
Yeah.
That's an incredible year, like.
It is, yeah. It took it back, and Ulster, one of these rallies, real fast flowing stages with a massive battle there with Keith White in a Mark 1, Millington powered Mark 1 Escort. Keith, in fairness, would know where he's going. He'd know them stages, probably a bit more than Damien and me. It was a massive battle. Jesus, we were going so hard, and we were taking seconds. He'd take a second back. As a tournament rally on the door handles, but we pushed very, very hard, and we got the result. And it was a massive feeling. I'll never forget winning that. It was a massive feeling to be the first modified home. It was a massive feeling to do that,
Yeah. The big moment, like, you had a number of big moments over the last 3 years. Yeah. And I'll step back to Cork in 2018 in just a moment, but I just remember the 7th of May 2017.
And I'll never forget that day.
Carlo Stages Rally, overall winners, yourself and David Condell in a Mark 2 Escort. Yeah. That was just simply incredible. Sum up how you felt on that day, and talk us kind of through the day from start to finish.
I suppose, to be fair to David is knocking on the door a long time, and both David and I, we decided that there was enough stories, we were just going to do this. And we made that decision a month before the rally. It was for us, and come hell or high water, we were going to win that rally, and that's the way it was. The 7th of May came, we wrote the note. Probably looking back, we wrote a very aggressive book of notes, very aggressive. Funny. I was on that particular stage up by me one day this week. I think it was Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it was, and I can remember some of the corners, and I can remember all the notes in my head still. Just so aggressive, and a lot was asked of David that day. We were on a Pirelli tyre, which is a very, very good tyre. A lot was asked of the tyre that day. Adrian was pushing hard. I think Johnny Pringle was leading the rally. He was off the third one. The pace was really, really hot, really strong. Adrian Headland was pushing hard. Enda O'Brien was pushing hard. But after the first service, we felt that we were comfortable, and we said, look, we're going to go for this. If it ends bad, it ends bad. If it ends, we'll win it. We're going for it, and that was that. And we went for it. And it was massive, Kevin, to win my own rally.
Yeah.
Genie Mac.
I remember interviewing you at the time, and you said it was simply a dream come true.
Simply a dream. I'll never forget pulling into the Seven Oaks beside David. And I'll never forget my wife, my mum, my dad, David's mum, David's wife, David's kids, all the raw emotion. It's still to this day the raw emotion of getting that car across the line. No more stories. We'd done it, and it can never be taken from us. We won that rally. We set out to do it, and we done it. And like Mark Straker, David Condell is another man that I'm eternally grateful for that day. Personal friend of mine now forever as well, you know. And
nobody can ever take it away from you. I mean, you look down through previous winners of the Cardiff Stages Rally. Obviously, Stephen Murphy is a local man, has won it. Tim McNulty, Bertie Fisher, I think, at one stage.
Won the rally, yeah.
And your name is there beside the likes of maybe Rory Kennedy. Obviously, would have been with.
Rory won it, yeah. Brian Murphy would have won it. Paul Coady would have won it. You know, all these great men would have won the rally. And I'll never forget how emotional David and I were in the car coming in the road. You know, it was like, and I was checking the time card. Was everything okay? Was all the figures okay? Was everything matching up? Jesus Christ, Mick, don't get a penalty now. You know, it's something I don't do anyway, but that's the way it was. And just to see, and I was very happy for David, because David spends a lot through motorsport, you know, and to get him across, to be with him, to get him across there, because no one deserved that rally more than David supports that rally more than anyone in the country. It's a rally he does. I think he missed it once or something.
2007 when he was getting married or something.
There you go, Kevin. Yeah. You know, and he supports it every year. And to see what it meant to him, to his mum, to his brother George, as Carlow people, they live at the top of the hill here.
Yeah.
To see what it meant to David, and for me to have contributed to that for him, is so big for me, you know.
Yeah, you were probably the first Kilkenny man doing it too, I'd say. Possibly.
Billy Connolly, I'm not who's Billy would have won the rally on numerous occasions. I'm not sure who was in with Billy back then.
Navigation wise anyway, say co-driver, you're probably the first co-driver from Kilkenny.
Yeah. And
it's not a bad thing to be able to say.
No, and it's something that people still say.
Yeah. That'll never change, like, regardless.
No day in my life, when I work, people say to me, bring up rallying to me all the time. You know, people that ask you know, questions, and it's great that it brings a smile to my face. I'll stand and talk about rallying day in, day out. I just love it. I love it with a passion, Kevin.
Yeah, it's a big interest. It's a huge part of your life. 2018 then, the victory of Frank Kelly below in Cork.
Yeah.
You won the modified section, obviously. And again, I just recall you having a chat with James O'Brien, who of course would have navigated for Andrew Nesbitt when Nesbitt was in his pomp.
Yeah.
James won, I think, the international with Ray White.
Yeah.
And you're there shaking hands with James O'Brien, a man who you have said before you would have looked up to.
Just to be shooting, we'll say, but in the dead zones, with Frank, we were running so high up, I think we were seated 5 or 6 on the road that day. To be just in the dead, so we'll say the double O cars, there's 4 double O cars, and we're there. So you could be hanging around 15 or 20 minutes, Kevin, type thing. And just to be talking to James about the stage we're facing, about the corners, and just to be in his presence. A legend in motorsport. James O'Brien is a living legend, you know, and such a lovely bloke. And I remember congratulating him, and he said, "Hold on," he says, "massive congratulations to get that modified car at the pace you were on, to get it around there. Dream stuff once again." I have a picture of the two of us at the end of the rally, and it's a picture I treasure, you know, and that's.
And you're one of the most animated navigators out there. I would say yourself, Liam Brennan, James O'Brien, all cut from the same sort of cloth.
Yeah.
And you just get, like, is that just pure raw adrenaline, and is that you getting into the zone? Because it's like, I can't even think of a phrase to kind of describe it, but it's almost like you're in full flow, and
it's not pretty. The best way to put it, it's not pretty.
I know, well, I won't say it's not pretty, but it's definitely hugely entertaining, and let's go now.
I would love, Kevin, to be more calm. I see the other.
But you're clear, Mick. I won't say you're actually very clear, and you repeat the notes that need to be repeated.
Yeah.
So it's a good technique.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
And I did try.
You're all action anyway.
I did try to change the way I called notes, and it wasn't working for me. I couldn't do it.
Be who you are.
Yeah, and that's it comes easy to me. I'm just so invested in getting the car from point A to point B as quick as Mick Coady can. When I see the road opens up, I need to let him know we're going now. We need to push now.
Yeah.
And when it tightens up, he needs to know we're going to come back here now. It's a little bit tighter. You get safe here, you know.
Yeah, but that's who you are naturally.
Yeah,
that's you naturally. So why try to be
anyone else.
You know, and different strokes for different folks. Like you see, Rory Kennedy's probably that bit more chilled about things or whatever. But then again, like Rory Kennedy has won a massive amount of titles. James O'Brien has won a massive amount of titles. Mick Coady has won titles. So there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Absolutely. I suppose, Kevin, thanks for saying that. It's still hard for me to hear my name in the same sentence as them men. James, I suppose, would be maybe a bit louder, maybe, I don't know, than Rory. Rory's just from Letterkenny, soft-spoken guy.
Lovely guy.
An absolute gentleman, you know, but they're just, I don't know, Kevin, they're just calmer in the car. They're just soft-spoken, and Mick is not soft-spoken, and that's... James, I suppose, James O'Brien is probably not soft-spoken either. He'd be closer maybe to the way I'd call notes than maybe Rory or...
But isn't it whatever works for you, basically?
Yeah.
That's the way it is. I want to talk to you about a great friend of yours who you mentioned earlier that sadly is no longer with us, and that's Manus Kelly.
Poor Manus,
Firstly, just to try and my tuppence were, I'd kind of, you know, grown up loving rallying, obviously. My father was big into rallying, and GA took over a little bit. And the graw for rallying, even though I'd gone to Carlow every year, even when GA was kind of taking over, what got me back into this game really was going up to Donegal in 2017, and I went up with James Lakes and Derry Cummins and a few guys to Marshall.
Superman.
And on the Thursday before the rally, Manus was got to be good to him, was walking outside the Mount Errigal with young Mandy and Charlie.
Okay,
I think. Yeah. And like, I mean, I remember thinking this guy won the event last year, and so down to earth, so friendly, and just like salt of the earth, right? And then I remember just writing a quick piece afterwards. I was mesmerised by Donegal. I was amazed because I'd never done Donegal, done Rally the Lakes, done Cork, done everywhere.
Donegal has it all.
Simple as that. I wrote a piece at the time, and just about the whole experience, the thousands of people that were there, how friendly everyone was. I didn't tag anyone in it. Manus wrote back underneath on Facebook. Rory Kennedy wrote back. And honestly, it was just amazing. You know what I mean? The community in general just added so good. But Manus, talk to me about Manus.
The light of heaven to Manus Kelly. He was just a fun guy to be around. You know, enjoyed and had time. Manus had a word for everybody. You know, had a word. He had no airs or graces. And Donald Barrett, his co-driver, the very same. Two of the nicest fellas, Kevin, you could ever wish to meet. You know, just fun guys who loved what to do, loved what he done. Manus loved rallying, loved competing, and also a serious competitor. Manus Kelly was a serious competitor. He raced to win, and that's, you know, and he was just a fun, lovely bloke, lovely bloke. And a
lovely photo, a few lovely photos of you two partying up in Donegal. Maybe in the last couple of years.
I'll never forget.
Probably 2018 or 2017.
16. It was 16. Manus had won the rally in the WRC, the first time he won the trainer round, 16. So we were out that night. I think we were in the Tiernan Og, or anyway, Sisters Ours, we were somewhere. And cheer up, he says, Coady, cheer up. He says, feck it, I said, man, as we dropped the ball, we were leading the rally, myself and Frank were leading the national event, and we went into Glen Village in the rain, and David Buggy just took our pants off. And he said, come back next year, he says, and you'll do the business next year. I was so happy for him, because it meant so much to Manus to have won that rally. And all his team, you know, it was just a brilliant night. And once again, a memory that I'll treasure forever, that particular night, you know.
Yeah, and to add a bit of context, a lot of the people that are close to rally will understand the story, but in 2016, Manus had come to Carlow to try out a Subaru for the first time. The famous S12 Subaru.
Yes, it'll be.
And you know, had never drove the car and came down and won Carlow. First international event. Took a spin into the field, I believe on the Saturday.
That's right, yeah.
And the famous line, of course, which I've heard him say, and Highland Radio, to their credit, did a fantastic documentary recently on Manus.
Very good.
Barrett, on the last stage, Barrett, we're going for gold. And that was it. And they won it by less than a second over Keith Cronin. And this is the same night then, just to put into perspective, that you're there. So he's after achieving possibly the biggest moment, there's no possibly about it, the biggest moment of his career. And still he had the presence of mind to see that you were maybe a little bit disappointed, and was more interested almost in making sure that you were having a good night as well. Isn't that just the measure of the man?
Oh, he just, cheer up, Coady, you'll get it next year. He says, why don't we have a drink? You know, that was it.
And again, that was it. Just to add to it, Mick, in West Cork last year, we were in the Shebeen, Kilty, and Manus come in, and obviously he'd been off during the day or whatever, and we were having the crack river, and he was I'm going back for Rally 3 tomorrow. Rally 3, like, you know.
Gas, man.
Just
man.
And again, the world of time for
everybody.
Everyone.
Just no airs or graces with that man. God be good to him. And he's co-driver Donald, absolute gentleman too. Lovely, two lovely fellas. It's just, you know, it's one of them things. We lost poor Manus, and that's just the way life is, and that's what happens in life sometimes, and it's shit, but we have to get on with it. I'm sure if Manus, he'd get on with it. That's the way he was. Manus got up and get on with it. That's the way he was, and God be good to him.
Well, Mick, I suppose, to be honest, like, a bit of a frustration on my behalf last year was, in general, and I don't want to be really going down this route, but I just feel the sport in general doesn't get the coverage it deserves from... We obviously have a couple of our TV shows which are great, but certainly I come from a radio background, and on a national level I don't think the sport gets anywhere near the credit it deserves. And I mean, even in Donegal last year, it wasn't good enough to be covered on the Friday and Saturday, but then unfortunately when that happened on Sunday, it was news. Like, and I for like Manus and everyone that's in the sport, this is my motivation for setting up this, because I want to give credit to the likes of you guys, Kevin, that are investing so much in it. And as we said before,
thanks for that.
I remember you saying to me, like, it was like I was after handing you the lot on, and that made me sound to be a great lad, but just by giving you a simple interview, which you should have been getting, in my opinion, all along. And this is where the frustration is with the sport, Mick. So hopefully with this we can change things anyway. And the idea behind the whole thing is to give a bit of recognition on a weekly basis. When sport starts back up, we'll have a weekly magazine show. We get the results in, we get the like yourself, and we put this sport back on the map in terms of a broadcast sense anyway.
Fair play to Kevin, and thanks a million. I mean, we don't, and the guys, it is a very serious game, and it is a sport to us, and we do take it very seriously. We do take it very, very serious. And I suppose, I don't know, it doesn't get the recognition I suppose it deserves, but that's just the way it is, and that's always the way it was. And that's, you know, and thanks to you, Kevin, and a handful of others, you're trying your best to put it out there where it deserves to be. And that's...
Yeah, and I have to say great credit to Kevin Glendenning as well, who's doing the Crunch and Gears podcast. He's getting guys to talk about their stories from yesteryear and all, and I mean, it's great to see that happen. So hopefully between the two of us we'll be able to rattle up something.
Kevin is a lovely bloke as well, and a rally man like yourself, and you know, and it's as I keep saying through all this, I can't believe what's happened to me, and for someone like yourself, Kevin, to ring me and interview me, I'm blown away. And Kevin is the very same. He done a podcast with Frank, very enjoyable, very, very enjoyable. Like yourself, has a talent for that type thing, and fair play to what he, you know.
Look, it's a pleasure to be doing it. It's a great interest, and look, it's just to give Lacey a bit of recognition. And again, I don't want to get into the mutual appreciation society or whatever, but the like yourself, you've been very good to me in setting this up, Mick. So I just want to put that on record.
Cheers, Kevin.
Rory Kennedy has been very good to me. Colin O'Toole has been very good to me. Speaking to Mick Lonergan and putting the feelers out for the like of this. It's a few months in the making. So look, this is the first of hopefully a long journey, Mick. And I just have to say thanks very much for sitting down. We've a huge amount more to go through. We will get you in again because you have stories to tell. But thanks very much for sitting down and doing this.
Kevin, thanks a million for having me.
All the best.
Fair play, and the best of luck with your new venture. Thanks for everything.
Cheers, Mick. So there you have it, our first ever episode of the Irish Rally podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget you can subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, and if you like it, then hit the 5-star rating, which helps spread the word and gets us up the charts. It also doesn't say who you are, so you will remain anonymous. I'd also really appreciate if you could tell people about the podcast, and all shares across social media are very much appreciated. We're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Irish Rally Podcast, where all the links will be shared to listen to each episode every week. And if you subscribe or follow the podcast wherever you listen, then you will be notified shortly after a new episode is out. Thanks once again to today's sponsors, J&J Services Limited in Tullow, County Carlow, for all your motor and agri-factors, signs, designs, engineering and hydraulics needs. And again, you can check them out on jnjservices.ie and on social media. Until next week, take care and thanks for listening.